chains. The opportunity for India at this point in time is something that everyone is talking about. The companies that will be here with me on the Rising India stage today have already placed their bets on India, are long-term investors, committed investors in India. But the question now is, how do we grow the share of manufacturing to GDP from the 15 to 16% where we have been sort of stuck at over the past decade or so to 25%, which was the aspiration and the hope that we get to that number by 2030. What has changed, but more importantly, what more needs to be done to ensure that we can truly capitalize on India's manufacturing moment? Joining me today to discuss what the road ahead looks like for the manufacturing opportunity in India, please welcome Salil Gupte, the president of Boeing India. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. Also with us, Sanjeev Sharma, the CEO and managing director of ABB India. Joining us here on the Rising India platform, Sunil Vachani, chairman of Dixon Technologies, one of India's largest homegrown consumer durable companies, and Santosh Iyer, the managing director and CEO of Mercedes-Benz India. Salil right here, Sanjeev right there. Keep the applause going, ladies and gentlemen. We still have Santosh and Salil Vachani walking up on stage. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here. Please take a seat. Appreciate you being here today. I want to start by asking each one of you, as we frame the debate this morning, India's manufacturing moment now or never, and Salil, I'll start by asking you about it. We've all been talking about the fact that over the last 2 years, specifically in a post-pandemic world, in a world where we are seeing geopolitical risks and geopolitical tensions, there is a need for supply chain resilience, there is a need for diversification, that this could be the opportunity for India, that this is the window for India to be able to capitalize on. Are all our ducks lined up?
So, I'll start. Thank you so much for having us, Shireen. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. This is a unique moment. Look, I've been in the aerospace business for my entire career, finance and then with Boeing, the OEM, for the last 14 years. And what I can tell you is for my entire career, people have been telling me that someday, India will be one of the top markets for aviation. Someday, India will have the capability for top quality manufacturing and be part of the global supply chain. And it is crystal clear that in this moment, as we emerge from the global pandemic, someday has arrived. Right?
Someday has arrived.
Someday has arrived. This is India's moment. Because as companies around the world seek supply chain resilience, this means diversification of the supply chain, dual sourcing, and India has an opportunity to perform at a world-class level, which they are doing in our experience with our billion-dollar-plus supply chain here in India. And as a result of that, they can earn more work in manufacturing here. That performance drives additional work placement, and that's what we're seeing.
So someday has arrived. That's the word in from Salil at Boeing India. I'll come to that historic deal that Boeing has just inked with Air India in just a second, but let me get Sanjeev to comment. Sanjeev, as I pointed out, ABB has been a long-term committed investor. You've been in India for over 70 years now. I don't know how many people in this room know, but you've got almost 20 factories up and running across India. How important is India today from a global manufacturing point of view?
Thank you, Shireen. We have been very long on India for, as you mentioned, for the last 70, 75 years. We are manufacturing in this country. And we have developed deep supply chains within the country, which not only serve us to serve customers here in India, but also they are globally connected. I must say that over a period of time, we have seen different market cycles, different policy cycles, and it serves well for a business to take a long point of view on India, because this is growing year after year. And last few years, I must say there is a dramatic shift wherein we have increased the portfolio depth that we have of our global technologies in the country. And we have about 18 product lines, and each of the product lines is doing extremely well, both on the quantitative as well as qualitative basis. So I believe that more you localize in this country, better effect you get more competitive, and at the same time, you create operations which can not only serve the domestic market, but also the global operations. That has been our experience so far.
You know, I'll talk about the export opportunity with each one of you, but I want to pick on this with you, Sanjeev. You had a record 2022 order book of over 10,000 crores. Is India today your fastest growing market?
We grew 31% last year. And as I said, we are exposed to about 22 market segments, very dark, segments in the power industry, and also new market segments like data centers. I find that all the market segments are growing at a very healthy rate. And yes, it is India's moment. And among all the markets globally, there are other markets which are quite strong for ABB Group, but India definitely stands out.
India definitely stands out. Well, that is good to hear. And ladies and gentlemen, that does deserve a round of applause as well. Sunil, you know, to have built a homegrown consumer durable company over the past 2 decades. You started this off in the early 90s. And I remember you saying that the biggest difference between when you started to what you are seeing today is that there is a mindset shift. That earlier people believed that software India could do it. Nobody believed that in manufacturing India could do it. That's the biggest change you see today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest change is the change in the mindset. And in most of the cases, I think that is the most important thing. So I remember maybe about 20 years back, I used to go and meet various bureaucrats and discuss with them that, we want to make India the next hub for manufacturing of the world. And the answer that I used to get was, don't waste your time. Our strength lies in software. And electronic hardware might not happen. And I think now mostly everybody is convinced that this is our time. And this is the time to make India the next hub for manufacturing, not only for the domestic market, but for the global markets. And I think if we look at the numbers, Shireen, they're very, very encouraging. The global market for our industry, which is the ICT, information, communication, technology, and electronics, it's almost $900 billion. And India has just about 2% market share. So our exports are roughly about $18 billion. So there's a huge opportunity that awaits us. And even in the domestic market, right, there is, I think, a big opportunity because the penetration levels, you'd be surprised to know hardly 15% of the people own an LED television. Maybe about just to 10 to 12% people own a washing machine. Yeah. So there's a large potential for import substitution and making in India for India. And if I were to say, PLI and Make in India, in fact, 1.0 is already doing very well. I'm sure you already know the numbers, but for some of you who don't know, I think it's very encouraging. There is for the first time that out of the total demand of about $120 billion in our industry, almost 90 billion was manufactured in India.
Wow.
Right? And if you look at even exports, 10 years back, we were hardly exporting any mobile phones. Maybe 20 years back, in fact, we were importing all our mobile phones for the domestic market. And last year, our exports of mobile phones is about $10 billion, which is a growth of 100%. And next 5 years, we're looking at exports of $100 billion just from mobile phones alone. So I think now there is no doubt that this is our time, and this is the time to make in India.
Well, this is our time, and this is the time to capitalize on many of those segments that you spoke of, as you pointed out, that given the under-penetration, the headroom for growth in the domestic market, but more importantly also in the export market, is immense. Santosh Iyer, like everybody else on this panel, it was a record-breaking year for Mercedes as well. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to take a guess on how many Mercedes cars were sold in 2022? And these are all priced at 1 crore plus. Anyone here who wants to take a guess on how many were sold? 2 lakh. Santosh would be on a different planet if it were 2 lakh cars. Okay, Santosh Iyer, how many cars did you sell over 1 crore?
Well, last year we did more than 60,000 cars. It was the best ever year, and thank you. And 22% of these cars were more than 1 crore of rupees, which was never happened. And pre-COVID, this used to be around 10 to 12%. So almost 70% growth on cars more than 1 crore. So the structure of the market, we see a completely different market with this change.
But as we pointed out, there is severe underpenetration, and of course, taxation continues to be an issue that industry has been battling against. But that apart, when we are talking about the export opportunity as well as trying to cater to domestic demand, are you adding capacity at this point in time? What kind of incremental investments are we looking at? And how important is India from an export opportunity perspective?
Yeah, in Mercedes-Benz, we have something, India is always seen with a word called strategic patience. We have been in India
strategic patience.
Yeah, we have been in India for 28 years now. We were the first to set up manufacturing, and now we were the first to also start local EV production in India, in the luxury car space. So this strategic patience now, I think we all feel the time has come. The time has come for this patience to start now delivering. We have a capacity of 20,000 cars now going up to 40,000. We are investing. And apart from what we do on manufacturing, we also have a big R&D hub in Bangalore. We are employing more than 6,000 people there. And they work not only on engineering side, but they also work on software and also digitalization side. So there's a lot happening. And we are quite proud to say that any Mercedes in the world has an India in it. Because there is an Indian engineer which has worked on some development, some patent creation, and we are already contributing to the global ecosystem.
Well, it may not have an India-made component yet, but it certainly does have Indian design sensibilities, development capabilities as part of the product. Sanjeev, I want to roadmap the next 5 years, and I want to get the perspective for ABB. You're sitting on a fairly strong balance sheet at this point in time. You've set aside, about 1,800 crore rupees. That's the corpus that you have to play with for acquisitions, inorganic growth opportunities here in India. What would you consider? What would you look at? What looks exciting?
So in India, I think the way we run our business, we are a debt-free company. We don't bring money from outside. We are able to generate money here. We have a strong balance sheet. And we are looking at both organic as well as inorganic expansions. And if we are looking at targets in India, we are looking targets which complement as a bolt-on onto our existing businesses, both in the software as well as in the manufacturing area. So we have 18 business models. So each business model has been given the allocation, and they're looking out in the market, which are the partners they can acquire, so that we have a bolt-on business model expansion.
Anything on the anvil in terms of closure?
We do have a good list at the moment, but we'll definitely let you know. You'll be the first person to know the moment we have it.
I'm going to hold you to that promise. You've made that in front of a large audience here.